How do you know if you're bisexual? Have you lay awake replaying every crush like it's an evidence in a trial, or typed, "Am I bi?" into a search bar at 2 a.m. and still felt no closer to an answer? If your stomach just went, "Oh, yeah, that's me," you're in the right place.
Yeah, and nobody posts the instructions for this. Most of us don't get one sort of lightning bolt moment. It creeps up when you're young, or it hits you at 40, or you notice something in a film and your brain goes, "Oh, wait, you're still not making it up."
You might already know and still feel weird saying it. Or you might be nowhere near a label, and that's allowed too.
This episode, we're sharing real experiences from our community. Wrong labels, quiet moments, things people had to sort through without a map. If one story sounds like yours, stick with us. The rest of the hour's for you.
This is Give It To Me Bi, the podcast where we talk about anything and everything from a bi plus perspective. Now, let us give it to you bi. Hi, Steve.
Hey, Chadney. Chadney Spears.
How you doing? Chadney Spears is back.
Chadney Spears is back.
You look positively glowing under your new BiLight, your literal BiLight.
That is my BiLight for the week, and a BiLight that will be hanging around for a while, I reckon.
That is so exciting. I feel like there's like tropes when it comes to podcasts. It's two men usually, and then there's like the LED or the fluoro light, and we're ticking them off, and it looks super cute.
I'm nothing if not a walking stereotype in so many ways, and I'm okay with that.
I love that it is a very queer, very bisexual color as well.
It had to be. It had to be purple. Well, I guess, yeah, whatever that is.
And the benefit of that being your background and not like a bi plus flag is that you don't have to steam the light. It comes pre-steamed.
Steam the light? No. And this is a reminder, everyone, steam your flags. We've got Pride Month coming up, 2 months away? Get the steamers ready.
No, I don't.
We don't want to see those
bi
crinkles.
Flag. I don't own I don't own any Pride flags. I've never have. Wow,
I mean,
I've just noticed
that.
I know. But like we know good friends who use flags as their backdrops in their calls with friends, but also in their official podcasts. And I'm coming for you. Steam the flag.
If I see that Temu fold in it, the Alibaba fold in it.
Yes. The Temu Alibaba fold.
It can really grind my gears. Yeah.
It's giving away too much. It's giving away too much. Yes. I love that as a BiLight. That's cute. Would you have any other BiLights this week, or that's it?
No, just this one big BiLight. Yeah. Looming large behind me.
Well, it shines as bright as you do, Steve.
Oh.
My BiLight for this week, now that we are back recording the episodes, we are yet to officially publish any, but even still, we have got our community is starting to pick up that momentum again after that year hiatus. The Facebook group is a really fun place to be, and we ask for input on the episodes. We ask for people's real lived experiences. And I love it. I love hearing from people. I love seeing actually just how different every single person is in that community, but they've all come together for one reason, that is to experience community as a bisexual person. It is really quite diverse, which I love. So my BiLight is to see that community kicking back up again, and to double down on that BiLight is there's some very thoughtful comments that come along with an engaged community. Is that there are quite a few lovely comments this week and last week saying that Steve and I and this podcast played a really large role in people's coming out process and their journey to self-discovery. And honestly, like my little bi heart grows 3 sizes every single time. This little pink, purple and blue Grinch gets that big grin, and I thank you for saying that to those of you who said that in the group. It just melts me, and I do not take that lightly. I don't take that for granted, and it's a huge responsibility that Steve and I talk about every time we talk about the podcast. When we plan these episodes, we talk about cool, who are our listeners for this episode? And we try and consider every single person at every stage and in every walk of life. And you can't always get everyone. It's impossible, but we do try. So my heart
Definitely.
and my BiLight goes out to you guys this week.
Yeah, I guess that's one of the reasons why we started this is like we wish we had something like this. So
gosh, yeah.
let's do something that we wish we had. And that's also a call like for our listeners as well. If there's something you wish you had, and we actually have quite a few comments like that in this episode of like, I wish I had something to validate me, explain things to me, just somewhere where I felt a bit less lonely. You know, this is why we put this all together, and it makes us feel less lonely as well. We're really part of the community. We're still learning. We're still, we're not in the stratosphere or anything. It's
I would absolutely encourage and challenge anyone to get out there and make and build anything that supports the BiPlus community and the BiPlus experience. I see that a lot of BiPlus folks who do so are very supported by other BiPlus folks who do so. And so, for example, the wonderful folks over at By the Way Dating, the BiPlus dating app, those folks, like we adore them because they are so like they're in the community, they're of the community, they're for the community. We will pump them and support them as much as possible. Like the different bi networks across the country, like everyone is so supportive and so if you have a bi project, actually here's a little call out. If you have a BiPlus project that you're working on or want to work on, let us know. We'll promote it. We'll pump you up. If we can give you a shout out, or if we can share any wisdom or knowledge on how to build an audience or anything like that, it's all yours. Like we only grow together. So yeah, jump in the Facebook group and let us know about your bi project.
I have one shout out to do. Hopefully they're listening.
A shout out. We have a shout out. Great.
A bi comedian on Instagram. You can find them now. I apologize if I'm getting the pronunciation of your name wrong. I love you. Your comedy's iconic. Guneet Kaur. So it's Guneet _ of course.
I think I saw this week.
It's the clip. So they've got a partner who's also bi, and they had an argument about who sucks dick better. It turns out he did. The partner did.
She's like, he does this for the love of the game or something like that. I do this to get the laundry done or something. I don't know.
What was it? It was I do it like house cleaning. I do it to get the job done.
That's it. Yeah. Very, very funny. Today's episode is how do I know if I'm bisexual? This is a seemingly simple topic, but deceptively so. I think this is one of those questions that exist because there is no one answer. If it was so simple, people wouldn't have that question, or the question wouldn't be so pervasive and so long lasting. People's experience of their identity, their sexuality, their the worlds they grew up in, the context they exist within, all influence why they would have this question, why they would have doubt around this question, if not, on having any support or influences or inspirational people in their life that they can lean on or ask questions of. And so it's a really cool topic to be able to talk about on a larger scale, to try and tick a few of those boxes and say, hey, all of these experiences are valid. All of these experiences are bisexual in one way or another. All of these experiences are totally authentic. And if you see yourself in any of these stories, any of these experiences, hey, welcome to the club.
Welcome. And welcome to the podcast. I think you hit on some notes there, Chadney Spears, because we're so often not given the language and how to describe. Bisexuality is very rarely described to us, let alone us being able to describe it to ourselves. And so there's that slow hindsight. We're in that culture that only gives us the options of gay or straight. And it can be a quiet discovery, or it can be a really loud screaming in your head, like it was for me a few times in my own journey.
Yeah. And I love that you said that it's often given, described at us kind of thing, and not for us. I just on the weekend had a conversation with my friends, folks whom I love deeply and we have a decades-long relationship. We're talking about sexuality. They asked about bisexuality in front of a big group of people, and we had a really fun, healthy debate about it. But the sureness of people of what the definition of bisexuality is one of the places perhaps we can start of where people get tripped up in their own experiences. They might get told what it is definitively, and then that carries over, and you kind of get this hangover of like, well, but someone said that this is what bisexuality is, and I'm not that. So am I still right to question it? Do I have any claim or stake in having this label for myself? And as you kind of alluded to before, the definition that was spoken about in this conversation is that one or the other is the gay or straight, or the 50-50, right? It's male, female. It's this kind of direct 50 split, and that bisexuality is an attraction to men and women. And obviously, we're going to get to definitions a bit later, and we're going to disprove some of those common misconceptions. And but yeah, we can get tripped up as folks who are not yet sure of ourselves, or not yet sure of, because sometimes we're not looking to label ourselves. Sometimes we're not looking to find an identity. We just simply have questions about, like, I've got some feelings. I had an experience. I don't know what this lingering vibe is. I'm not. Lots of people aren't putting on a backpack and go, all right, let's go find me an identity. Let's go find me a club to hang out in. They've just got some questions. And so when you go out and you're looking for almost these waypoints of like, where do I turn on this journey? And someone says it is definitely down this path. You start traveling and you realize, I should have turned back there. Actually, that would have been more helpful. And you have to do a whole bunch of unlearning to get back on the path.
Well, I mean, effectively, at the end of the day, it's if you're not gay or straight, you're bi. If you don't, and being gay or straight is the exclusive attraction to one gender. For gay, it's of your own, or if you're straight, it's of a different gender. And so that is how all-encompassing a bi plus identity is. And, that 50-50 or even the preference. And so even when you overcome that idea of the 50-50, that myth that to be bi, you have to have that equal split attraction between men and women. By the way, people, bi has never meant man and woman. Bi has meant same and different gender attraction. That's where the bi and bi comes from. Even if we don't have, if we've overcome that 50-50 idea, we're then also forced by people to pick a side. What's your preference? And I hate, my brain literally can't process that question. We talk about it a lot on this show. And that just shows how confusing it can be. But I'll tell you what, the first time and the only time that I felt fully validated in my experiences, and where I didn't have to explain myself, was by connecting with the bi plus community and with other bi plus people. We're the only ones who don't ask for receipts, for tick boxes, for the numbers game. It's like we get it. We get it. And so genuinely, I think if you are wondering if you're bi, hang out with other bi people if you can.
Steve, on this point, this slow burn of identity, self-awareness, right, of your identity and your attractions and your experiences, it's not one and done, and is ever evolving, and we can shift and change, and you might feel more fluid in your attraction or more resolute in your attraction at any given time. But that can be really influenced, as I said before, by perhaps someone telling you what you are or aren't. And I'd love, if you're comfortable to do so, to perhaps recap your experience of your coming out, because I think that's a really great example of how listening to someone and almost giving them too much authority over your own experience can really have an impact on your life.
Totally. So luckily I wasn't later in life. I realized I had attraction to multiple genders when I was quite young. And so I had always been attracted to girls at the time. I was 13, realized I had also experienced attraction to boys, was sent to a progressive counselor therapist by my parents, who were really well-meaning, to talk about it. And the therapist said, oh, well, if you like boys, that means that you're gay. And I'm like, no, but I'm pretty sure I'm still attracted to girls as well. And they're like, oh, it's okay to be gay. You don't have to be ashamed. That'll change. Like you'll get over your attract that. You don't have to pretend anymore. This is safe. It's okay to be gay. And I was like, okay, I guess it'll go away. Chad, guess what happened or what didn't happen? My bisexuality did not go away.
No.
But I held on to that gay label for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah, you held on to that for a long time, and you lived out and openly and proudly, might I say, as a gay man for quite a number of years, but it was eating you inside.
Totally. And it's like when I got into my 20s, I mean, God bless sex workers. Like my only way to express myself was with sex workers, and so sexually, that is. And it's like a lot of people listening to this might know what I'm talking about as well. When you see that your social group treats a certain type of people as outcasts, and so in the gay community, it was really difficult at that time, at least, to be bi, and it wasn't generally accepted, and women certainly weren't sort of welcome in those sorts of spaces as well. So I thought, well, I can't let anyone know, and it just got to a point where I just did not want to wait in life's waiting room. I really just needed to be myself, really needed to live authentically. Whether people care, believe me or not, do not give a crap. I just wanted to be myself. And so, yeah, in my mid-20s, ended up coming out as bi, as who I really was. And I haven't looked back. It's just been the best because I haven't had to change anything about myself. But I have changed who I surround myself with. I've now got this amazing bi community. You were one of the first people in my life to be an amazing influence. And I like telling this story. I remember you and I were in sort of the same meeting, like we were organizing an event together. We were involved in the same project. And like you to me, you were this like amazing archetype that I had been like brainwashed and fed. Like, there's like gruff bi dude with a wife or whatever. And I'm like, how am I possibly going to be accepted in this group? I'm like, I'm queer and blah, 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 blah. And not a single question was asked. It was, as you say, the dropping of the shoulders, the deep breath, and just the best feeling. And
it's so funny because I remember this time when we first met of like, I think we joined the Sydney Bi Plus Network around about the same time. And so we had really no context or idea of who came before us in the group. And I think we both joined and we both assumed the other had been around for ages. Like, oh, totally. Look at this bi elder. Look at this wise, old, like considerate, thoughtful, bisexual.
I know, they've got it all together. They've got it all figured out.
Bestowing their time upon me. How thoughtful. And like, and we're just both in awe of each other, just like, it's so
and
funny.
We still are. Like
yes,
7 years later, we still are.
Yeah, that's cute. I think your story, Steve, is one. Thank you for sharing. I think it's an incredibly powerful one and really paints a picture of how important it is to know yourself, and you can always keep questioning. You don't have to finish knowing yourself. I don't think that ever stops. But I think importantly, we will never be prescriptive when it comes to sexuality and labels, all that kind of stuff. We won't have this podcast say, how do I know if I'm bi? At the end of this episode, we're not going to say, and that's why you are bi, right? That's not what's going to happen here. What we will do is we will lay the cards out for you of all these different potential ways that you might find yourself mirrored or you might see yourself reflected in, and what type of bi experience or bi labeling or bi descriptors that feels most comfortable for you. And if you would like to take that upon yourself as a descriptor or a label or an identity or a community, that's great. But we will never tell you your experience because, as you've heard, there can be a lot of pain and a lot of frustration when someone tells you who you are rather than you discovering who you are yourself.
Mm-hmm. I look at something that happens in pop culture. So over the last couple of years, we've had a few famous, mainly female artists who have publicly been out as bi, and then they've later come out as lesbian. Also goes the other way around. And they're always quite high profile. And I'll get a message from someone not in the bi community, and they'll say, "Oh, your team lost one," and I'm just thinking, know, as bi people, we know like how important that journey is, and to find what thing works for you. And I have nothing but compersion, nothing but absolute joy for that person. We haven't lost someone. We are watching someone come into their full self, and their identity wasn't bi. And then we see the other way around, lots of people joining us.
Yeah, I absolutely would encourage folks who perhaps a little bit further along in the journey to really take note of that attitude of like, we all know what it's like to be in queer spaces, not be accepted when we come out as bi. How cool would it be if the folks who are in our community for a time and then perhaps move on, if we can be a bastion, like a caretaker, a thoughtful, like almost host to hold that experience for them, honor that for them, send them on their way thoughtfully. What a cool experience. Like, I think there's a lot of infighting within the queer communities, and that's really quite unfortunate. And we hear, oh man, when I came out, I got sanded by X, Y, and Z community. How cool would it be if that never happened in the opposite direction? Of like, I came out as gay after saying I was bi for so many years and living bi for so many years, and no one gave me flack for it. Everyone was just like, I'm so happy for you. How cool is it that we can like interrogate our experiences and grow and come to know ourselves better? Like, that's super cool. Folks in the community can all do with a healthy dose of that attitude.
If you're listening.
Yeah. But yeah, Steve, we did get some wonderful people talking. Yeah, Steve, you're right. We did have a whole bunch of wonderful people write in about today's episode topic. We've got one here. Someone saying that the key point for them was, looking back, the first step was knowing that bisexuality existed as a real option. Like that was a keystone moment in their coming out journey, that it was even a thing.
Yeah, I mean, I relate to that for sure, because we're fed lots of stereotypes. And if our only touch point is pop culture and that's all we've got to go off, pop culture would be super helpful. But especially these days, now it's being done a lot better, way more by visibility, way more by acceptance in pop culture. But, you know, back in the day, Chutney, you know, we had so little to go off. And if you didn't see yourself, you can't be what you can't see. And so,
yeah, I think that's why so many people have the same bi heroes and bi icons, because there were so few of them, that if one person said I'm bi proudly as a celebrity or as someone in pop culture, everyone went, oh my goodness. Like, for me, I relate to this. Like, this was the lead singer of Green Day, Billy Joe Armstrong, proudly and very like matter of factly said that he was bisexual, and had some songs about the queer experience. And I remember being like, oh, that's what it's called. That's me. And so like, I don't think I have too many explicit memories about multi-gender attraction before that, because I just loved everyone kind of thing. I was just very like, everyone's great. And and I was quite young, so like attraction looked different. It was very just like, I think actually this is a pretty common experience for bi plus folks, and actually also for trans folks, is am I attracted to them or do I want to be them? Is that idea? Like, and that is a pretty huge telltale sign. And I found that a lot with a lot of my friends and a lot of my girlfriends as well. And so I wasn't sure, like, is this attraction, or do I just like get along with these types of people more or less than others do? But yeah, the ones that heard that term bisexual was like, oh yeah, that feels right for me. And once I knew the word, I could see myself in it.
Totally. And use it however you want, how often or as little as you want. But on the sort of like moment or pop culture touchstone, obviously we've got our favorite Academy Award nominated 1999 action adventure film, The Mummy, which is a shared experience and now a stereotype. But if you find the entire cast of that might be a sign.
Yes. I feel like there is starting to become this like list of movies and TV shows of like, oh yeah, that was for the bisexuals. Like, you know, the animated movie Atlantis, or like
Yeah, yeah.
El Road to El Dorado. Like it's like, wait, why are all these people hot? Like, we should perhaps like curate a list of like the bi experience movies of like, oh, you were rooting for both sides. You're rooting for both the hero and the villain or something like that.
Yeah, you know what? Everyone, I think we might do a call out for pop culture things that either spoke to you or are like a thing that really represents bi people.
And I mean, hey, we have an episode about movies and Hollywood and all that kind of stuff. So go back and listen to that one if you're interested. Yeah, look, there's a few other people that wrote in. Do you have any others that you want to?
Yeah, this person wrote in. They were looking back in their past to look for some hints. So it can so often be retrospective, like where were the signs? And this person realized that they had a crush when they were around 14 with another guy. And this person said, did I want to be like him or did I want to be with him? Funny enough.
Yeah, the hints thing is interesting. It's what you're almost trying to prove. And I think that's one of the things that we'll try and talk to on this episode is that there's no proof needed. A lot of people try and do the math, like the bi algebra, or the trying to find the equation of like, okay, if attraction to men plus affinity for androgyny and multiplied by obsession with punk music and punk politics, divided by there's no equation for it. Like there's so many experiences of what bisexuality is, and like we always say, you don't have to have the pink hair or the blue hair and live in the Brooklyn or the Newtown or the whatever it might be. Like we've got some friends who are bi who you could not clock it, even if you knew it. Like impossible to clock because they appear to be straighty 180, and their interests are typically that of someone who might not engage in queer culture actively, and their experience of being bisexual is super valid and super authentic to them. And we need and want and love all those people in our community, the bi plus community. The wonder of it is how diverse it is.
Yeah, totally. And going, with those sorts of people that you're referring to, people who you wouldn't clock, someone like me who's on the queer side of things, I'm like, what would I have in common with them? Or like, would we get along if we're in a social setting? And you know what? It turns out, yes, our sexuality is a very small part of us. We are full. We're an abundance of experiences. But I think there's something really special when you put a bunch of bi plus people in a room who might have absolutely nothing in common. And my God, we have each other's back. We are family. It's always been so reassuring with people who, I think like, oh, we've got nothing in common. How could we be friends perhaps in the future? And it's like we get on like a house on fire, because at the end of the day, if you know, if you've been through the process of discovering your bisexuality, however short or long that took, you get it. And I think we have an automatic respect and affinity towards each other. It's been a really wonderful experience going through that.
Maybe the last one on this point is this person wrote in, and I really appreciated this because I see some parts of this echoed in my story, is they come from a religious conservative background and was pretty repressed sexually. In high school, people asked if I was gay, which happened to me. I got bullied for being gay in high school. Like that was the only other box. What really shifted me was when my oldest child came out as bisexual. It held a mirror up, and I had to admit the attraction had probably always been there, just buried. After I accepted that, I had more headspace to actually feel it. Coming out has happened in waves, which I really appreciate that sentiment. The coming out isn't one big hurrah, pull the string, the balloons come down from the ceiling and everyone gets it and everyone's on board now, right? It does come out in ways, and sometimes coming out to ourselves is a part of this experience that we forget to honor. We're always very concerned about coming out to other people, and it's the recognition and the telling yourself, oh, it's okay, actually. I can wear this label. I can have this experience in myself. I don't have to tell a soul, and I can just sit with it for a day, a week, a month, a year. And did that feel okay? And I know a lot of our siblings in the trans community, that is a very common experience of, I called myself trans before I ever called let anyone else know. And I sat with it for a long time to know if that felt right for me and comfortable for me. And it was because I had the language finally, all that kind of stuff. So this person ends by saying, mentors and community who simply said it's okay mattered more than I expected. Better late than not at all. So that's really cool. I thought that was a really lovely little story and experience shared. And thank you to that person.
And I'd love for our listeners, try and remember the first time that bi was a real word in your world. And always remember that slow doesn't mean false. And also remember that bi negativity has been fed to you. And, don't feel any guilt in the bi negative thoughts that you might have about yourself or about others. And know that you can overcome it. You can overcome it and through support, get through that. Because I think it's something as well that we often grapple with because we might not have those role models. We might not have found the community yet. We might not have come out to ourselves yet. And so, I look back, think about my attitudes towards certain things and just how much they've evolved. And I think we are all going through that sort of evolution and finding out, knowing that you're bi is all part of that evolution.
Steve, I'd love to talk about something we touched on a little bit just then, but I'd like to explore it a little bit more thoroughly, is the idea of proof or evidence or looking back for hints retrospectively. The idea that there is, that kind of math, but perhaps more in a not us immediately discounting it way, because sometimes there are hints, sometimes there are stories or moments in time that might actually paint a picture. So I don't want to discount it by saying, hey, there's no math, you're okay just as you are. Because sometimes those moments can actually mean a lot to us. And like my experience seeing the lead singer from Green Day or watching Rent for the first time, or like all these different things that like those things matter. And did I share this on a previous episode that like having posters of both Hilary Duff and Joel Madden on my wall and kissing them both goodnight when I was 12 years old, that's a story. And maybe that could have been a sign that those things are genuine experiences and they matter if you want them to matter. Something that I'm very intentional about is meaning making. We make meaning out of things if we choose to. This has been a large theme of my life for the last 9 months since my partner passed away is I can choose to make meaning out of small things to comfort myself, to comfort my son. I can choose to not make meaning out of things that felt really debilitating and really quite hard, because that it can be something that can really be a blocker. And I think that is true in a lot of our experiences as people, especially large transitional moments, large moments where there's a redefining of self, is we get to decide what matters to us and what holds meaning. And I thought this could be a cute point to honor those small moments, but recognize some big moments as well.
I get in a lot of trouble attaching meaning to things. I attach meaning, Chad. I attach meaning to everything. Oh, my plant leaves are wilting a little bit. I'm a failure. Okay, that's negative self-talk. Let's not go. You're not my therapist.
Well, I can help you with that one. I think that is a capitalistic productivity bias, where we're told that if you are not being productive, you're a failure.
So be careful where you
happily shut that one down.
I'll tell you a bit of evidence I wish that I had, Chad. So I became the evidence for my family that they were bi. And I sort of wish it was the other way around, because I'm the baby of the family, but I'm also very proud that I could give them that. As some of our listeners, our long-term listeners would know, my dad, my sister, one of my brothers, myself, we're all bi. And none of us knew until I came out and sort of talked directly to each of them and had the conversation about what it meant to me to be bi. And they're like, oh, well, I guess I'm the same. And again, being the baby, I had access to more knowledge. I came up in a society, in a community that perhaps has less biphobia, more bivisibility. And so they simply didn't have it. And I could really see the cogs turn in their head. And it turns out we've just got one big bi family. I keep on like digging into mum. I'm trying to get something out of mum. Surely something happened in the 70s, but nothing yet.
Can we interview Dad on the podcast?
We absolutely can.
That would be fun.
Or my sister, she's got a 1-year-old, so you two can bond over that.
Yeah, great. Yeah, we should get the Spencers on.
Of kids. Get the whole family on.
I love that idea.
Totally. But, looking back at that sort of evidence, I'm like, oh yeah, my dad, for sure. If I had the language and like the ability, what I know now, like being able to interpret people, I could definitely see that, he is a bit fruity, just like me. And I'm very much my father's son. So, there are those little bits. And you can't regret it. You can't regret it.
No. And that evidence can, and again, I'm using evidence very like loosely, right? Signs, hints, breadcrumbs can show up very differently for different people. And they might show up in ways that perhaps we're not comfortable talking about with other people. I know there's a lot of discussion with men and young men about porn, and that porn can sometimes be their first indication of any potential attraction outside of the stereotypical heteronormative lens. Sometimes this can take place in a way that feels perhaps minimizing the experience of others, or making people out to, or certain communities out to be fetishes, and that can be unhealthy. But it is an experience that is largely explored privately, and then it is one that is largely not reinterpreted into their everyday vernacular or conversation. And how do we then explore that conversation with friends? I'm like, hey, I watched this porn last night. These two guys and a girl or whoever, and I don't know. I think I'm really having some internal thoughts about my attraction. I'd love to talk about it. Like that. I doubt that there's a conversation happening many places in the world, but you will see that some of these categories, and I'm very cautious not to call out some of them. I know there's a lot of fetishization that happens in these communities, and harm that can happen as well. But a lot of these categories are climbing in search results on these websites. And so I would hazard a guess to say that there are a lot of folks who are looking to explore that attraction and don't have an outlet for it, or an avenue for it. So yeah, could be true for any gender of person, but I dare say it would probably be more prominent for young men. The experience of the do I like them or do I want to be them is extremely common for young women, and women in general, and I've also heard it from a lot of people who leave heteronormative relationships and are dating same gender relationships for the first time. They go, I don't. What? How do I do this? I don't know how to even navigate this space.
It's adorable. I say adorable. That sounds so patriotic, but it is. It's gorgeous to watch people go through that experience. It is very exciting.
I'm trying to think of some other potential environments or experiences for that evidence.
Well, you brought up that maybe those conversations around porn aren't happening, but I'm quite involved in the pegging scene. So pegging being, say, strap-ons. And so I'm in a lot of pegging groups. I coined the phrase pegging is the future. I'll have a merch store up at some point. There are t-shirts. Just a little plug. But, I
don't know why we haven't monetized that. I'll do that for us.
And we have a whole pegging episode as well with our friend of the pod, Brittany. But, looking in these groups, there are a lot of heterosexual men who are very comfortable, very firm in their sexuality. Even if they're moving into like the space of sissification, they still understand that they are attracted to women. They also just like it up the butt. But then you also see lots of really rich conversations of men who have only ever been with women, and they think because they like it in the butt that perhaps they're gay. And then people come and be like, well, have you considered being, bisexuality? Have you heard about what that means? And then hetero men will come in and being like, and provide an example, being like, well, I'm very comfortable and firm in my heterosexuality. I enjoy these things. you don't have to flip your entire script just because of something that might be evidence. And so, being into pegging might be evidence. And so this sort of goes to show, A, there are communities you can talk about this in, usually online. B, there are so many different ways to interpret evidence, and it's good to sound it out with people and hear other people's experiences, because what
absolutely.
might be a sign might just be stereotypes telling you what to think when you need to decide what to think.
Yeah. I like that you said the strap-ons and the pegging, because one of the experiences of someone who wrote in says that a psych student, when they were back in college, a psych student heard a stray thought about a strap-on and told me that it meant that they were gay. They had asked the psych student, I think, about like, hey, if I'm attracted to a woman wearing a strap-on, like what does that mean? They're like, yeah, that means you're gay. And a few points on that. One, it doesn't. Two, it doesn't even mean that you bi. Like, if you are having intimate relations with someone of a different gender and you identify as straight and you like up the bum, you can absolutely identify as straight. Like, that is totally A-okay. Like, your body is your body, and who you choose to share that body with and explore that body with is totally up to you. And I remember there's a lot of chat years ago when it came out that Kanye liked to finger up the bum or something like that. And they're like, oh, look, old mate's a fag or whatever. And it's like, you mean with his consenting wife? Like, what are you talking? Like, his consenting wife put a finger up his bum. He's either straight or he could be on the queer spectrum in some way, but like, that's his wife. Like WIFE. I don't think he's gay, guys.
That's right there.
There's a lot of fear in men about the bum. About the bum. There's a lot of fear. Maybe we need to do a big episode about the bum.
About the bum,
and all the ways to love and take care of it. Actually, the person who wrote in also spoke about their experience on the swim team, and made me think of that's another environment where you could have those experiences or moments is in sporting experiences in team sports where you are quite close and quite intimate with other people. Typically, sports are not co-ed. They very often gender divided, but that is obviously another experience that would be common for a lot of people. That like, oh, okay, I'm having these feelings. Is this just because I'm close to someone, or is this something else? So that you might recognize that in your own experience.
A lot of people that wrote into us, there's been a recurring theme of dreams as well, dreams and fantasies. But I'll talk about dreams because it speaks to me. Like, it's just saying like, oh, I have been dreaming, ruminating, fantasizing about these things. What does that mean? And it's up to you to determine what that means. It could mean absolutely nothing. It could reflect something you viewed our dreams. I don't want to get, is it Freud who did dream stuff? I don't know, one of the psychoanalysts.
Freud did a lot.
Freud did a lot. Freud has to answer for a lot. But, looking at your dreams, that can absolutely be a sign. I remember that happened to me, and it was when I first experienced my bicycles, and we talk about that on the show a fair bit. You quite enjoy talking about bicycles, and that's when your attraction can wax and wane across different experiences to different degrees and intensities over time. And I had my first big bicycle, and all I could dream about was women. All I could think about was having sex with women. And I was like, am I straight? So I actually had this like straight dilemma. And now I'm looking for evidence that I'm straight and not bi. And then one day it just switches back. And so also don't stress it. Like, go with the flow as well.
Yeah, the fluidity of your attraction can also be a part of that evidence of like, a lot of people look at that as evidence to the contrary, that like, oh, it's not set in stone, therefore I must be one that like has deviations. You know what I mean? I must be straight and have deviations, or gay and have deviations, and not recognize that the wonderful spectrum that is bisexuality can wax and wane and is fluid and encompasses any and all of those experiences simultaneously. And so you don't have to doubt or question. You can be far more present in that experience as well. which is, oh my gosh, is that validating when you don't have to go, oh my gosh, I'm going through the bi cycle. Am I gay? Am I straight? Am I gay? Am I straight? Am I bi? It's like you can just go, I know who I am, and look at this experience that I'm having right now. How wonderful is this? Look at the multifaceted, wonderful creature that I am. How cool is this? And you can just kind of honor your body and your experience in your mind.
Yeah, it was really validating for me when I found out that it's a really common experience for bi people. It's not that common for straight and gay people, for monosexuals who generally stick to their lane. You know, bi people, we're running all across the motorway at any given moment, often. And to find out that other people went through that, it went from being an intense and terrifying experience to being an incredibly validating one, and being like, okay, this is what bi people go through, and that's just another sign that I actually am bi. And it's so funny. This is like a couple of years after I came out, especially from when I was young. And it's like I was still looking for signs, because that's how deep biphobia can run in yourself and from society, and that sometimes you're finding yourself wanting to find reasons to say that you're actually not. And thank God I'm past that. Thank God I'm very comfortable. But that's if you hear to the listeners, if you hear something similar in that, know that you're okay, and also know that doubt is a pretty good sign.
And I'd say that this whole conversation about evidence and experiences, this is entirely personal, and it is your experience. One of my deeper frustrations, and something that I would love to encourage people to not do, is to do this in regards to other people. It can be incredibly invasive and incredibly harmful to say, oh, you are because I've done the tally of evidence, and so you must be this way or that way. And likewise, when people come out, the line that I'm sure we've all heard in one way or another, oh, I always knew, or yeah, I've just been waiting for you to tell me, or like, of course you are, because I knew, like, you have done X, Y, and Z. You didn't need to tell me. Like, oh, that is just really not enjoyable, and can actually lead to. We've done a lot of comparison to the ADHD diagnosis because we've both gone through that journey in the last year. But when you say, "Hey, I got diagnosed with ADHD," and someone goes, "Yeah, about time," you go, "Okay, cool. Well, thanks for your support. Like, thanks for seeing me where I am and my self acknowledgement and my journey to know myself. You've centered yourself in my understanding of who I am. How weird is that? It's like I've known about you for longer than you've known about you. Do you want a pat on the back? Are you looking for a prize? Because the prize you might win is like bad friend award. And so I just like encourage people to not, even if you honestly think that, like, even if you honestly like, oh, my friend's been in the closet for years and like, oh, just come out already, and they do, like, you can just not say it. You can say, hey, I'm so proud of you. That must have been really hard. Thank you for trusting me. Thank you for being vulnerable. I'm here. I support you. Is there anything I can do to help you? Like, just those few lines. There's a new trophy. Good friend award. Like, it is so easy to support someone through that journey.
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah, so don't do the guessing games or the math for someone else. It's not cool, and don't let anyone do it for you. Your story is your story. Your experience is your experience, and that can take as long as it needs to take, and it can be with whatever language you need to use to feel comfortable, and it can be to whomever you choose to come out to. If you choose to come out, you don't ever have to come out if you don't want to. This is entirely personal experience.
Oh, I've been thinking, do I take, so this was going to be our little sidebar, but you can keep this in maybe. Now that I'm getting married, do I take my partner's last name as a double barrel?
I have so many opinions on last names. Do you want to hear mine?
Yes.
I think one, for me, I've taken my partner's name as well as my own, and if my partner was still here with us, that was her plan as well. The idea is, one, I love and adore my partner. She loves and adores me. I honor her family. She wants to honor my family at the same time. I am deeply anti-patriarchal, and the idea of taking the man's name. Obviously, I was in a different gender relationship, and that is not the case for you. But really, the crux of it for me was I refused to not have our child not have her last name. I know so many single mothers who labor and birth this child and bore the brunt of 90%, 100% of raising a child, to have that child have their ex's name. Like, they have to prove on forms that they're the mother. It's like, that is disgusting. I hate that. And what a simple fix. So we called our child, gave our child a double barrel last name, same with both of us. And so I like the idea of a double barrel last name, especially if you're going to have children. Oh, but I'm also really, really fond of inventing a name. I have friends who have invented a name, come up with their own family name, and that is fucking cool. You can just make it up. There are no rules.
No, there aren't. But I do love my name.
As someone who is a previous wedding photographer and my partner was a wedding planner, I love when people take the opportunity of a wedding to make it so theirs. And I remember turning out to a wedding where they announced their new last name, and I thought that was the coolest fucking thing ever. Yeah.
Well, we're not planning on having kids, so we haven't got that. We are a same gender relationship, so we don't have the power dynamics. It's purely a vanity project. I will say that pretty. It's a vanity project. I just think like Spencer Romano
That's fancy.
Rolls off.
That could be like a leather coach bag. Welcome to the new Spencer Romano bag. Sounds cool. Like
it does.
Spencer Romano is very cool. Would you ever invent a name?
No, because I do love my family. I wouldn't want to lose my family's name.
Yeah.
All right, we'll get people to vote. We'll get people to let me know what I should do. Should I just be Steve Spencer or Steve Spencer Romano?
I like Spencer Romano, to be honest.
Oh, am I just fetishizing an Italian last name to make myself more interesting? Damn it.
Why is that bad? You fetishize the Italian themselves.
Don't go talking about my Tuesday night.
Hey, I wanted to do a bit of a shout out to the listeners. You heard us talk at the top of the episode about the Facebook group. I want to encourage you all to jump on over to the Facebook group. We ask folks in there every week about the podcast episodes, get input, get people to help us frame how we talk about each episode. When the episodes go live, we have a discussion thread about them. Lots of things going on in there. The momentum's kicking up. I did want to have a quick chat about it as well. I'm very conscious of the world we're in at the moment and the current political landscape, and I take the security and privacy of our Facebook group incredibly seriously. And I made a post in there today just saying that if people aren't filling out like the entry questions that you have to fill out to kind of enter any kind of Facebook group, that's a hard no from me. They won't be allowed entry into the group. I want everyone in there to feel safe and secure, to share vulnerable experiences, to get help, to meet people in there. It is a potentially risky space. I acknowledge that with the climate that we're in. So the ban hammer is in full effect if people don't take our community seriously. And if they are trying to enter the community without properly engaging, I just won't let them in. And so you can rest assured that the people in the community are engaged. They are also on that buyer journey like you are, which is really cool. And you get to meet some really fantastic people. I know that sometimes there can be hesitation because Facebook can be tied to your personal profile, all that kind of stuff. But everything that happens in the group, you can't see outside of the group. No one gets to see. They just see that you're part of the community. No one in the group thus far has said that they've had any issues with people saying that someone has spotted something or in the group or anything like that. It's all kind of got a big firewall around it. So your vulnerable stories are safe with us. The only thing that happens is that we ask you questions about it and they may end up on the podcast. And as you know, we don't reveal any names. We haven't given anyone's names on this episode or previous episodes unless they explicitly say, absolutely, I want you to talk about this on the podcast. So bit of a shout out. Go to the show notes and find the link there. I'd love to see you.
Join us. Join us.
Join us.
Come, bisexuals.
Come.
Come to me. To be able to find out if you're bi, which is sort of what this episode is about, or literally what this episode is about. Goodness me. We filmed this late at night, everyone. And the conclusion is that we don't have a firm answer, but to find out if you're bi is to understand what being bi is, or what bisexuality is. It's a completely an umbrella term. So bi in itself is an umbrella of experience. As I said earlier, if you're not straight or gay, you're bi. If you experience attraction to multiple genders to any degree, to absolutely any degree, you're bi. Whether you choose to use that label or not, I'm going to stick very firmly to just like definitions. And so like by definition, that's what these things are. I noted a bit earlier what the bi and bisexual means as well. So it's never meant man and woman. It's always meant hetero and homo attraction. So attraction to people of the same gender and attraction to people of a different gender. That's the two.
Yeah, which is a really cool call out as well, because a lot of people get really hung up on the bi. Hung up on, does that also not acknowledge trans folks and non-binary folks? And that definition that Steve's just pointed out very plainly make sure that non-binary folks are included in that. So like myself and unlike myself can be any mix of that, which is actually a really cool thing if you think about it, because it also doesn't mean that you have to be attracted to all either. You could have an attraction, let's say you're a woman and you're bisexual, you can have an attraction to women and you can have attraction to non-binary folks and not men, and you would still, by that definition, be bisexual, right? That is still a bisexual attraction. And we have actually some very close friends who that is very true to their experience. Yeah, some other ways of breaking up the potential bisexual definition, just to, I guess, for some extra clarity. So we've talked about bisexual as an umbrella term, and all these different things that we're talking about kind of are different things that fall under that umbrella. There are different sexualities. So there's bisexual, omnisexual, pansexual, plurisexual, a whole bunch of sexualities that fall under the broader bisexual umbrella term. Bisexual as a sexuality also falls under that as well. And so I personally, I would say my sexuality is pansexual, and I fall under the bisexual umbrella. And so that's where that kind of split would come in. Another way of talking about identity is the split attraction model. And I find this to be one of the more revolutionary ways to talk about attraction, both romantic and sexual, because it's one that is rarely acknowledged in the mainstream. It is also one of the ones that gets a lot of people to go, maybe I am bi. Wait a second. And so what this is that you can experience different sexual attraction to romantic attraction. And those can all fall on the spectrum from hetero to homo to bi, whatever it might be. So you could have a heterosexual identification and a hetero-romantic identification. You would be pretty straighty 180 heterosexual person. It's weird that we define people by their sexual kind of class, not romantic or like a overarching. You'll find actually that gay, lesbian, and straight people all kind of have a term that isn't tied to the sexual label, but bisexual people, pansexual people, it's still tied to sexual. Right.
We never got our own sort of word, like gay and lesbian and straight. That has nothing to do with homo and heterosexual. Like they've got their own socialized term, I think is the phrase.
I'm just gonna coin baddie, and so so we can just be bi baddies, right? That could be our non-sexual one.
Well, we have bi, so like a bisexual is bi.
So a lot of people drop off the sexual
closest thing.
So to keep going along the conversation of the split attraction model, let's say someone has a hetero romantic attraction and a bisexual attraction. They would fall under the bisexual umbrella. They, depending on who they are personally and their experience of life and all their different influences, they might still identify as straight, and they might I don't know, still they may behaviorally act upon bisexual attraction. They may not, but they have an attraction across gender, and not on a romantic level. And that mix and that kind of math is true in every kind of configuration that you can manage. And we know quite a few people that after we talked about that for the first time on the podcast, they went, "Wait a goddamn second." That's me. I've had strong romantic attractions across gender, and I love all these people in my life, and I've been very close, but I couldn't, for lack of a better phrase, I couldn't get it up, or they didn't do it for me, right? Like, and so they dismissed it as like, oh, I'm straight, and I just am very close with others, and maybe I'm just an empathetic person, or whatever it might be. But they, upon reflection, they were, oh, I think I am biromantic and heterosexual, which is really beautiful to have people have new language. We always talk about language is very, very important. So I find that way of talking about sexuality very interesting and very fruitful, very useful.
Yeah.
And this is also one of the reasons why we say bi plus and bisexual plus. That was very confusing to me when I first got into the advocacy space and community space, is I was looking for the Sydney bisexual community, and I couldn't find it because the Sydney Bi Plus network uses bi plus very intentionally, because it's not necessarily bisexual that they're trying to make a community around. They want to encompass everyone under that bi plus umbrella. And so that's where that terminology comes from, but the bi plus. What are some other ways that we can break down the labels?
Going back to what you said about the heterosexual biromantic person, that also, this is the wonderful thing about being bi as well. It means we get to interrogate everything that relationships mean, what sex means, what relationships means, what chosen family means, what actual what biological family means. Correction, because if you're heterosexual and biromantic, that means that you're capable of having a relationship with someone of any gender, but without that sexual attraction. And I think that really forces us to look at what I've seen many incredible relationships without the sexual factor. But we are told by society, and we've always been told that a romantic relationship has to involve sex, and that is not true.
The bi plus community is absolutely encompassing of our arrow and ace siblings as well. So arrow and ace, just to define that for folks, is aromantic and asexual. So folks who may experience no or a reduced, I guess, on either of those spectrums. So actually, I was posted up at Fair Day last year at the Sydney Bi Plus tent, right next to the Arrow Ace tent, which is really cool. And we got to talk about like it doesn't mean there's no attraction. That doesn't mean that attraction doesn't exist. It's just for many people, and obviously again, it's a spectrum. It may not be the thing that is their motivating factor in relationships or in connection. And so you can be bisexual and asexual. You can have attraction sexually across gender and it not be something that you want to act on at all, or have any drive to act upon. And same with the arrow community, the aromantic community. And so it's important to acknowledge that they could tell you that they are probably the least acknowledged part of the broader queer spectrum, and we could probably do more to call them out more often. But yeah, that's true, Steve, is that sex doesn't have to play any role in a relationship, and that language. I've heard actually a lot of straight women discover the ace language and go, wait a second, like, wow. And so these terms that so often come from the queer community can actually empower so many people who aren't typically in the queer community. Language is so beautiful. And if we are allowing ourselves to discover ourselves, how cool would it be if you can go into a new dating scenario and say, here's where I'm at. Here's my attraction. Here are my kinks. Here are my expectations for myself, expectations for new partners. and then ask other people, what are your expectations of me? And how do you experience attraction? And how can I support you in that? Like, oh, wow, that would be so cool. Instead of like 7 years later, hey, so I know we've been together for a while, but I was too scared to talk about every single part of this side of the relationship. Do we do it now? Are we about to like have the big conversation now? Like that'd just be so freeing, I imagine.
Yeah. We talked about the bicycle earlier, and it took me many years to realize that asexuality was also a feature of my own bicycle.
Ooh,
and I've never really talked about this because
interesting. I don't think we have talked about that.
We haven't talked about this. So, breaking news, everyone, because I really only in the last year came to realize that asexuality was a feature of my bicycle, in that there will be periods, usually quite long periods, where I do not experience sexual attraction. It just does. It's just not a thing. And it's a very confronting experience to go through when you are not persistently asexual. But when you sort of come to terms or just come to understand that it's just part of who I am, and people will ask me like, oh, well, does that mean that you just stop having sex with your partner for months on end? I'm like, no, not at all, because for me, sex is around intimacy. And so I might not have sexual attraction, but I have intimate attraction, and the way that we express that might end up sexually. But sex is by no means on the mind.
Yeah, a lot of people in the ace community talk about that. It's like, it doesn't mean that like I don't do it or don't want to do it. It's just not something that like drives me. And some people are the opposite. Some people are just like, I don't do it because it's not a part of who I am. I guess that experience inside of relationships is also something that can be quite confronting for people, because a lot of this patriarchal, like, we owe it to have sex to people because like to please their needs, and especially in different sex relationships, it can, there's a lot of shame involved and expectation involved, and sometimes it can lead to potential abuse situations and manipulation as well. So really cool to have an understanding of that in ourselves. And thanks for sharing that. The bicycle, including the ace or arrow aspect of it, is something that I've not really heard many people talk about. Maybe we need to do some research into that. That's interesting.
So hopefully, give us a message if that's a feature of your bicycle, and that you go through periods of asexuality, or what could best be described as asexuality. Yeah, it's been interesting. And thank you to the ace and arrow people in my life who have helped me come to understand it. Like, this is the beauty of our community and the beauty of coming together, because I would be lost and deeply confused and also deeply concerned because of what we're told. And so to actually be able to talk these things through, legends. Yeah,
that's super cool. Super cool.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing. One person wrote in and said that they, when it comes to labels, they called themselves a lesbian for many years while quietly making exceptions. We hear this a lot. People go, I'm attracted to all women and maybe 3 men. People I cared about who didn't fit the label I was using. I'm married to one of those exceptions now. Another person wrote in and said that the trap that they fell into was cultural, that they were told and the world only gave them the labels of gay or straight. It was pick a side, and they felt very confused because their experience and their understanding of themselves didn't fit either of those boxes, and spent a long time translating their experiences into different boxes and different labels at different times. And I know that I've had that experience as well, of like, I know I'm not gay and I know I'm not straight, but if they're the only 2 options, what was that? what did that mean? That experience was gay. This experience was straight. Okay, that day or that partner or relationship, that was straight. That was gay. Oh, I've not thought about that in a long time, actually. That's a really interesting one. It's like, I know that I'm not, but if they're the only options, then I guess I have to start filing away my experiences that way. That's thank you to that person writing that in. That's a great point.
And we can reframe that translation as well. So it's like, just because I'm in a relationship with a man, my partner knows very well to shut down anyone that refers to us as a gay couple, because we're not. It's not a gay relationship. We're not a gay couple. Only one of us is gay. And so that's really affirming for me, and also just really the direction we should be going in, because that is one extra level of that visibility. And if other people can see that these relationships, because at any given point if you're in a relationship with this person, and that should define who you are and your wholeness.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Because then our bi stats would be way off. And then what about single bi people? Do they just not do you have to be having sex at every moment to have a
moment
sexuality?
of every day with people across all gender landscapes? That's so funny.
I'm not encouraging people to have 24-hour orgies with people of multiple genders.
Listen, I'm not encouraging it, but that's the Give It To Me by Up Late podcast. That's a different
pot
podcast.
Kettle black as well, if I were to tell people not to do that.
Speaking of reframe, so there is some language that we hear a lot in the BiPlus community that we actually have famously pushed back against. However, I'm very aware that people who are navigating a questioning part of their identity, they may be using this language, you might be using this language, and I want to give you the permission to use it. And things like it being a phase, or does that count, or I'm questioning, or I'm bi-curious, or I'm not sure, I'm confused. That kind of language, when it comes from outside places and placed upon us, can come from judgment and come from other people refusing to sort us in a way, wanting to sort us in a way that suits them. However, if you are using that language, that is totally valid. And I would say that the questioning is almost the destination. You know what I mean? Questioning is sometimes a really healthy place to stay. You don't have to have answers. You can constantly be growing, constantly be questioning. You can question with a goal to have a label or a fixed identity at some point. But I think at least the bi folks that I know who have been out for a long time are very comfortable talking about fluidity and talking about a non-fixed state of their identity, that like, it's what I am today. It's what I've been for 26 years, but I don't know what tomorrow holds. You know, and it's people are very comfortable knowing that, like, I don't know who I am, and I don't plan to know for sure ever. I plan to know better than yesterday. And so the questioning state that you may find yourself in is wonderful, and don't take that as any sign of worthiness or not being enough or not being queer enough or straight enough or gay enough. You are perfectly made, however you are, whoever you are, wherever you are, and the understanding of yourself being 1% better than yesterday is incredible. And sometimes not knowing is knowing yourself better. You don't need to land on anything to know. You can know that you're not, and that can be useful as well. We do this in marketing and in design. Trying to understand what something isn't is very powerful and can actually lead you to a destination closer to what something is. That still doesn't have to be a fixed point. It can still be in flux, and that can be really powerful as well.
Yeah, it's all valid. And it, again, just you're listening here, everyone, to this richness of experiences, and you know, the fact that we're having these conversations with others or just within ourselves is, again, a sign. And you don't have to follow that sign anywhere. But if you are looking for validation, or if you are looking to confirm anything to yourself, like, there are all sorts of ways that you can get there, or define what you're not, like Chad just said. But yeah, labels can definitely move, and honesty with yourself always comes first.
Steve, I'd love to perhaps close this episode out with a topic that is kind of the reason we started this podcast, is what do we wish people would have said to us as we were coming out? What are some of those things like, or what are some micro affirmations that we experienced, or that our audience might have experienced, some things that can give you some hope, perhaps some some encouragement, some like concrete positives, because sometimes the journey of self-discovery, self-identity can be a bit of a rocky one. And sometimes that can come along with some uncomfortable truths. It can come along with perhaps some not fun experiences with other people where you may lose friends or whatever that might be. Would love to talk about some encouraging things to leave the episode with.
Just the great gift of being able to understand myself and to be able to share that with people, because I choose to share it with people. You and I both have that wonderful experience of being able to share who we are and hear who other people are. And there's just that incredible journey together. That's the most wonderful thing. And I'm not saying that you're missing out if you're not doing that, people. Like, you can find what affirms you. Definitely find what affirms you. What about you, Chad?
I would say that, so my partner Heidi and I have always had a wonderful relationship. Exceptional relationship, actually. We're kind of a bit of a dream couple, I dare say.
Dream couple.
And I don't say that lightly. I say that because many people have told me that over the years, that they held us up as an example of what they wanted their relationship to be. And I found that despite my coming out being a quite a big challenge for us, that afterwards the intimacy, the closeness, the trust, the just inseparable nature of two people that know each other completely, nothing compares to that. And I would encourage you that on this journey, you might go, what's the point? And knowing yourself allows you to know others, whether romantically or platonically. Questioning yourself allows you to question others. It allows you to know what you stand for and what you won't stand for. It's a really cool part of life. Living intentionally is very fucking cool. I would encourage that you don't have to decide today. Yeah, it is. It is. I love what that listener wrote and said. It comes in waves, and it can evolve, and it can flow, and it can you can go through and back any number of times that you may need, and it can be entirely private as well. Yeah, you don't have to decide today. You can. That's really powerful as well. You can put a flag in the ground and say, "Here I am." That's sick. Awesome. Come join the community group. But yeah. You don't have to.
Oh, it's beautiful. Sorry. Everyone, Steve's having a moment of just staring at Chad with absolute adoration in my eyes.
Oh, my love. You're a sweetie.
But, you and Heidi have inspired me, and you as an individual have inspired me. And, you made the point of that vulnerability that comes in self-discovery with someone else. I read something recently, as I'm approaching my wedding, it's like you fall in love with the person for all that they are and not the image that you have of them. You have to unlearn that image that you've created of them. And it goes with the same of self-intimacy, of being able to understand and love yourself. Is to interrogate and tear down, if you need to, your own self-image to actually find what's really going on in there.
I love that. One of the things that Heidi and I made a big point about is that choosing to love somebody. Like, every day is a choice. I wake up today and I choose to love you, and tomorrow I can wake up and choose not to, and on that day I'll walk away. And it feels very obvious to do that with somebody else, but sometimes it can be very hard to do it with ourselves. Today I wake up and I choose to love myself. One of the beautiful things about a long relationship is you fall in love with someone today. Chris, you are so wonderful. I love you today in all the ways that you are fabulously you and wonderfully you. And in 5 years, that Chris will be a different Chris. And you will choose to wake up on that day and say, oh, Chris, I love you for all the ways that you are the same and all the ways that you are different from the Chris you were 5 years ago and all the potential Chris's you're going to be and 5 years after. And so you eventually in time, you haven't fallen in love with one person. You've fallen in love with an infinite conglomerate of people that make up your Chris or make up my Heidi. And that's really wonderful. And I am really challenged in knowing that I unfortunately don't have that anymore with Heidi, but also challenged actually to turn that inward, that I need to remind myself to choose to love myself every day, and all the ways that I am the same and different to who I was yesterday and 10 years ago and 10 years before that. It's an experience to evolve, and people, I remember people saying, like, if you look back on who you were 10 years ago and cringe, that means you've grown, and that's growth, and you shouldn't be sad about that. You should be actually really encouraged by that. But I think it's like you should look back at yourself and say, like, I am doing my hardest, and that is worthy of love, regardless.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm going to say it's almost, it is radical self-acceptance, right? And I remember with my partner learning that I thought that we were very, very different people. We are very, very different people. But to learn that we have so many shared experiences, and for me, experiences that I look back on myself that I didn't like about myself, and the cringe, looking back and cringing. And for me to say, I know I'm deserving of love. And so who it would be so awful to not love someone else for those same things. And we all deserve to grow. We all deserve to change. And through radical self-acceptance, I've been able to radically accept others. And it's truly freeing. It's complete freedom. And in that process of, knowing if you're bi, knowing who you are, if you ever get there, it's that process as well of accepting yourself. And that means you can also accept others. You can have intimacy with yourself, which means you can have intimacy with others. We, bi plus people are an evolved species. I'm going to put it out there because we have these conversations. We do this self-interrogation. This whole episode chat has just been about finding out who you are. And so many people go through life without doing that. And I think that's a gift that we can give anyone, give all people. And it's a gift especially because one of the main reasons that stops bi people from discovering themselves and from telling other people that they're bi is the fear of losing other people, is the fear of being unattractive, of the fear of being lonely, all that sort of stuff. We've talked about it before on the podcast. And there are enough statistics out there to show that this is a thing. But please be confident that going through this process will make you an incredible person. You're already an incredible person, but this will make you even more incredible. And that is attractive. And there is so much hope through going through this process. There's so much hope.
Absolutely. Actually, I had this experience in the last week or two. I've found it quite hard to be hopeful lately, or lean into gratitude with the experience I've had this year. And that's not who I am. Typically, I'm a hopelessly hopeful person. I am radically hopeful because I feel like, what other choice is there? But I, as a lot of folks know, I love vintage clothing and buy a lot of vintage stuff. And I've recently downloaded Depop, and I'm exploring using Depop. And I bought this hat, and it had a patch on it. And it was this cute little patch of this bird, and it said "fuck the world" on it. And I was like, look at that. That's me on my staring into the void days. And I got it, and I was like, it is cute. And I immediately cut off the patch. I was like, I can't wear it. It's not who I am. And like, even in this darkness that I'm currently in, and the pain that I'm currently experiencing, I still can't wear the merch of hopelessness. And I couldn't wear it as a badge of honor of like, fuck the world. And so I immediately ripped it off and put a new patch on it. And I was like, oh, isn't that so cool that, like, even when I was trying to embrace it, something felt yucky in my body of like, you can't do that. Like, there was this like knee-jerk reaction. And so hope is a powerful thing. And once you embed it as a core value, you can't deshackle yourself from it. It's pretty powerful. I was a very hopeless child. And it's pretty cool to now come into a season where, fuck, I should be hopeless. I should be okay experiencing that, but the work I've done over the years to really question myself and question my values, and that hope is so integral to that, to see that, like, my body having this visceral reaction to that idea is really quite affirming and hopeful, to be honest. It's really quite hopeful. I'd love to read out, before we kind of close the episode, some of the examples that other people wrote in about their experiences. Well, someone wrote here that they wish someone had just plainly said that it's not a neat either or, that it's not like you have to be one or the other. And they actually wrote that vulnerability tends to invite vulnerability, which I love. That's what we just spoke about, which is really cool. Yeah. They also said that finding the show was one of the places that made it all click for them. So love you. Thank you. Appreciate that. Someone else wrote here that they've really struggled to claim their identity publicly. They say that they feel like a fraud if they marry a man. Why would they need to come up publicly as bisexual? It's all a bit moot, I guess, which is interesting. And I think it kind of ties into what we said before, is that like bisexuality, if you talk about it just explicitly as just a sexual orientation, it is very minute in your world, and it can be very small. And sure, if you diminish it as such, it can feel quite moot. It's a weird word to say, moot. But if you, as we have just discussed, use it as a tool to expand who you are and investigate who you are, it is the most unmoot, it is the most powerful experience that someone can have in self-identity and self-discovery, and is definitely not moot. It just really depends on how you package it up personally for yourself. And I think also other people can influence how you might validate that for yourself. I know that people have often said to me, it's just a label, it's just your sexuality, why is it a big deal? And if that's all it is, and that's what I convince myself it is, then sure, why is it such a big deal? But that is not the definition that we play by. That's not the game we're playing. We're not playing the let's diminish everything about me so we can take it off the table.
Yeah, and I think if you're asking yourself that question, ask yourself why you're asking that question, because that might answer the question. But also just the fact that you're exploring that as an option is really wonderful.
And just to wrap up, I think this is a really lovely place to end the episode. There was some wonderful research back in 2010. It's called The Positive Aspects of Bisexual Self-Identification. And out of this research, they identified 11 themes that were named by participants. And I want to read out these themes. It's pretty wonderful. Freedom from social labels. Honesty and authenticity. Having a unique perspective. Increased levels of insight and awareness, freedom to love without regard for sex and gender, freedom to explore relationships, freedom of sexual expression, acceptance of diversity, belonging to a community, understanding privilege and oppression, and becoming an advocate, an activist. All of those things are on the other side of a bisexual self-identification.
That's amazing. And that just like flips every biased negative stereotype. That just completely flips everything negative said about us. If you wrote this list out to a prospective partner and said, this is who I am, bam, aren't we an attractive lot? Thank you everyone so much for joining us for this episode, for joining me and Chattels on this discussion about how to know if you're bi. We hope you all maybe saw a bit of yourself. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love you to give us some reflections on your own experiences. We are here to listen. We're here to build community with you. Make sure you join our Facebook group, Give It To Me Bi Community, and we will see you on the next episode.
Absolutely love it. Awesome. Give It To Me Bi acknowledges that we live and work on Gadigal land. We acknowledge the traditional custodians of this land and pay our respects to elders past and present. Sovereignty was never ceded.